It all started with $20. A small favor, one that most people wouldn't think twice about. But for Ryan, a 22-year-old college student, that one swipe of his credit card would change everything. He never imagined a simple act of kindness could spiral into months of debt, stress, and heartbreak. At first, life with his girlfriend Lila was the picture of young love. They were both broke college kids, sharing instant noodles, late-night study sessions, and dreams about the future. They laughed about being poor together, saying one day they'd look back and find it funny. But one cold Tuesday afternoon, everything started to shift. Lila's car ran out of gas near campus. She called Ryan, her voice sweet and a little desperate. "Babe, could I use your card just this once? I'll fill up for $20 and pay you back tonight." Ryan hesitated. He wasn't exactly swimming in cash himself, but she sounded sincere, and she was his girlfriend. He wanted to help. So he gave her his credit card number over the phone. That moment, that tiny, seemingly harmless decision, would become what he later called the biggest mistake of my life. At first, things seemed fine. She returned his card, thanked him, and kissed his cheek. But over the next few weeks, Ryan noticed small things. Whenever they went out, she'd forget her wallet. If they ordered takeout, she'd say, "Can you cover it? I'll Venmo you later." The later never came. Ryan tried not to overthink it. He told himself relationships were about sharing, about trust. Besides, arguing about money felt petty. But little by little, those forgotten payments turned into something more troubling. One afternoon, Ryan checked his credit card app and froze. There were purchases he didn't recognize. Small ones at first, coffee shops, clothes, online subscriptions. But then he saw a $200 charge from a spa downtown. His stomach dropped. When he asked Lila about it, she smiled and said, "Oh, that. I thought it was fine since we're basically a couple. What's mine is yours, right?" Ryan tried to laugh it off, but something in his chest tightened. He didn't remember ever saying his credit card was a shared account. Over the next month, the pattern got worse. She used the card whenever she pleased. Online orders arrived at her apartment. Clothes and gadgets Ryan had never seen before. When he confronted her again, she rolled her eyes. "Relax, you're overreacting. It's just money." But it wasn't just money to him. It was his rent, his groceries, his peace of mind. He wanted to believe she'd stop, that maybe she didn't realize how serious it was. So he said nothing. Until one Friday night when a new charge appeared, over $600 at a beach resort 2 hours away. Lila wasn't answering his calls. Then he saw her post on Instagram, a photo of her and her friends, drinks in hand, captioned "Weekend Vibes." And right there, tagged at that resort, was the evidence. She'd used his card to fund the entire trip. Ryan's heart raced. The betrayal hit harder than the debt itself. He couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, all he could see was her smiling face, carefree, while his bank account bled dry. The next morning, he decided enough was enough. He went to her apartment, determined to confront her once and for all. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because what comes next will leave you speechless. When Ryan knocked on her door, she opened it with a smirk, holding her phone. "Hey babe, what's up?" she said, as if nothing was wrong. Ryan stood in the doorway, staring at Lila. Behind her, the apartment was a mess. Clothes everywhere, empty takeout boxes stacked on the counter, and a pile of shopping bags with expensive brand names he definitely didn't buy. He took a deep breath. "Lila, we need to talk," he said quietly. She crossed her arms, rolling her eyes. "If this is about that stupid credit card again, I already told you I'll pay you back eventually." "Eventually?" Ryan's voice rose. You spent hundreds of dollars. You went on a vacation with your friends, using my card. Do you even understand what that did to me?" Lila sighed dramatically, like a parent listening to a child throwing a tantrum. "You're being so dramatic, Ryan. It's not a big deal. You said you loved me, right? Couples share things. That's what love is." Ryan stared at her, speechless. He couldn't believe how casually she dismissed it. "Love doesn't mean taking advantage of someone," he said firmly. "You lied to me." She scoffed. "Oh, come on. You're acting like I robbed a bank. You can afford it. You've got a job." He clenched his fists. "A part-time job at the campus library. I barely make enough to cover tuition." But she just shrugged, flipping her hair like she didn't care. "Well, maybe you shouldn't have given me the card then." "That's kind of on you." Those words cut deeper than she could have imagined. Ryan realized she didn't feel guilty, not one bit. He turned and walked away. As he left, she called after him. "Fine, be mad. I'll find someone who doesn't mind taking care of me." That night, Ryan sat in his dorm room, staring at his credit card statement. The total balance, $3,482. His hands trembled. He called the credit card company, hoping to dispute the charges. But because he had voluntarily given her access, they said there was nothing they could do. He felt trapped, broke, angry, and completely humiliated. Over the next few weeks, Lila stopped contacting him, but the damage was already done. The card maxed out, his credit score plummeted, and late fees started stacking up. He tried calling her once more just to ask for some accountability, but she blocked his number. He couldn't focus on school. His grades slipped. His mind was constantly spinning with worry. How would he pay this off? How had he let someone manipulate him so easily? One afternoon, while sitting alone in the campus cafe, his friend Jake noticed the dark circles under his eyes and asked, "Man, are you okay?" Ryan hesitated, then told him everything. The card, the debt, the lies. Jake's eyes widened. "Dude, that's insane. You have to cut her off completely. Change your card info. Don't even let her text you." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, I already did. But it's not about the money anymore. It's about how I let it happen. I trusted her." Jake leaned forward. "Bro, she saw that trust as an open door. You need to close it." That night, Ryan took control. He canceled the card, called the credit company again, and set up a payment plan. It wasn't easy, but it felt like taking the first step toward freedom. Still, the emotional weight lingered. Sometimes he'd wake up in the middle of the night and check his phone, half expecting to see another charge notification. Weeks later, he saw a post of Lila online, smiling with a new guy, posing with expensive gifts. The caption read, "Some people just know how to treat a woman right." Ryan couldn't help but laugh, not out of bitterness, but disbelief. He finally saw her for who she was, manipulative, entitled, and never satisfied. He deleted her number for good. But little did he know, Lila wasn't done with him yet. Because a few days later, Ryan got a call from his bank, and what they told him nearly made his heart stop. The phone buzzed again. Ryan answered, already feeling that familiar pit in his stomach. "Hello?" "Hi, this is Melissa from North Point Bank's fraud department," the woman said politely. "We're calling to confirm a few suspicious transactions on your account." Ryan froze. "What? But I canceled that card weeks ago." "That's what we thought," she continued. "But it looks like someone used your old card number for multiple online purchases in the last 48 hours, totaling over $900. He felt the blood drain from his face. "You've got to be kidding me," Melissa asked calmly. "Do you recognize the name L. Turner on any of these transactions?" Ryan closed his eyes. Lila Turner. Of course. "She's my ex-girlfriend," he said through clenched teeth. "She must have saved the card info somewhere. I canceled it, but maybe the charges were pending." "We'll lock it down right now," Melissa assured him, "and start a fraud investigation, but you'll need to file a police report." After hanging up, Ryan sat in stunned silence. It was like she was haunting him, reaching through the wires of his bank account, taking one last bite out of his life. He finally snapped. He opened his laptop, scrolled through his old messages, and saved every single screenshot of her admitting to using his card. He filed the police report that same night. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Not because he still cared about her, but because he'd never thought he'd have to defend himself from someone he once loved. Days later, an officer called to confirm they'd contacted Lila. She denied everything at first, until confronted with the evidence. Then her tone changed. "She said she thought it was fine," the officer told Ryan, almost sounding surprised. "That you wouldn't care." Ryan couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, that sounds like her." After that, everything started to quiet down. No more calls from the bank. No more surprise bills. Just peace. And exhaustion. He threw himself into work, taking extra shifts at the library and doing freelance writing gigs online to chip away at the debt. Month after month, he watched the numbers go down, slowly but surely. And then something unexpected happened. One day, he checked his email and saw a notification. "Your credit score has improved." It wasn't much, but it was a small victory, and it made him smile for the first time in months. He realized that healing doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes it's just about taking control, one little step at a time. If you're watching this story right now, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps more people find these real-life stories and reminds us all that mistakes don't define us. How we recover from them does. Ryan's life was slowly getting back on track. But just when he thought the storm was over, something unexpected happened. A message popped up on his phone late one evening. The name on the screen made his heart drop. It was Lila. The text read, "Hey, can we talk?" For a long moment, Ryan just stared at the message. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to block her and move on. But curiosity, that dangerous little voice in his head, whispered, "What if she finally feels sorry?" He hesitated. Then, against his better judgment, he typed back one word. "Why?" Her reply came instantly. "I just want to explain. Please, meet me for coffee." Ryan sighed, rubbing his temples. "This is a bad idea," he muttered. But something inside him wanted closure. The next day, he agreed to meet, one last time. What he didn't know was that this final meeting would lead to a confrontation he would never forget. Ryan arrived at the small cafe downtown 15 minutes early. He chose a table near the window, ordered a black coffee, and tried to calm the storm inside his chest. When Lila walked in, it felt like seeing a ghost from another life. She looked the same, confident, put together, but something in her eyes seemed different. Guilt, maybe, or regret. "Hey," she said softly, sliding into the chair across from him. He nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "You wanted to talk." She took a deep breath. "Yeah, look, I know I messed up. I shouldn't have used your card like that. I thought it wasn't a big deal at the time, but..." He cut her off. "You thought it wasn't a big deal? You drained my account, Lila. My credit was wrecked. I had to work double shifts just to fix what you did." "No," she said quickly. "I'm sorry." I really am. I've been trying to make things right. I got a new job, I'm seeing a therapist. I just needed to tell you that." Ryan looked at her, searching for sincerity. For the first time, she didn't look like the manipulative girl he remembered. Just someone broken, maybe even lost. He sighed. "You hurt me more than you realize. Not just the money, the trust. I thought we were a team." Tears welled in her eyes. "I know. I ruined that. And I hate myself for it." They sat in silence for a while, the sound of clinking cups and soft music filling the space between them. Finally, Ryan said quietly, "I forgive you." Her eyes widened. "You do?" He nodded. "Not because what you did was okay, but because I need to let it go. I've been carrying it around too long." She smiled faintly. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Ryan stood up. "Take care of yourself, Lila." Then he walked out, the cafe door closing softly behind him. Outside, the air felt lighter. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't angry. He was free. That night, Ryan opened his laptop and checked his bank account. The balance was positive, his bills were paid, and for once, there was no anxiety in his chest. He smiled to himself, whispered, "Never again," and closed the screen. Months later, he had fully paid off the debt and even started saving for a trip he'd always dreamed of. He'd learned how to manage his money wisely, and more importantly, how to set boundaries. One evening, while sitting on his porch with a cup of coffee, he thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the stress, the endless nights of worry. And then, how far he'd come. He realized something important that night. That some mistakes aren't meant to destroy us. They're meant to teach us who we are and what we deserve. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, remember, it's not weakness. It's proof you have a good heart. What matters most is learning to protect that heart without closing it off. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more real stories that remind us, sometimes losing something is just the first step toward finding peace. And that was the lesson Ryan had to learn the hard way.